Hi, I'm the Technical Father. We're going to be refurbishing and repairing this Yamaha YPT-200. It has a common fault where a number of uses causes the power cable, which is in the back, to wiggle, and it actually delaminates the board upon which the power adapter is soldered. As a result, you get a little bit of instability. If the cable is jiggled even slightly, the power goes off. These were commonly used in schools, so obviously this is a real problem. It causes a lot of frustration. But a bit of wiggle in the cable is inevitable because these units are put away and brought back out. In addition, the units commonly have this little flex here because as the corners get pushed up against things, the inside housing where a screw is attached actually becomes cracked and broken off. So we're going to fix both of those things using a relatively simple fix, a bit of a hack, and I think you'll find that it works just fine. So here we go. It's worth noting, all 5 of the screws in the back are the same size. The ones on the ends are one size, and the ones in the middle are one size. So you effectively have 3 sets of screws. It's important to keep them together. What I'm doing, attempting to do, is take them all up and wiggle them down so that they all drop. And that way I don't have to worry about remembering where they went. So set that aside. I'll take you a little bit closer so that you can see exactly what we're going to be working on here. We're going to be working here on the board at hand. Now to zoom in on that, you can see it there. This is the power connector. In the back is the ground center, or excuse me, that's the positive and center. The ground is on the outside. You can see that one, and it's possibly difficult to see. We'll give it a try, but it wiggles. It wiggles a lot, and more importantly, this pin in the back wiggles a lot. The pin is soldered to the other side. The other side becomes delaminated, meaning the trace that it's actually soldered to splits off from the board and splits from its connection, which sort of goes in this direction here and this direction here. Now, tracing through the circuit on the other side, I found that over here on the other end of this diode, that end right here under the 6, that is a direct path to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to solder a jumper from here to here, a nice good jumper using a decent thickness of cable, as you see here, and that will fix the problem and also allow for a little bit of flex because the cable itself doesn't care about the fact that you're going to be wiggling a little bit. It'll stay nice and soldered. It doesn't require a mechanical fixture. We'll work on the other piece in just a moment at the corners, but let's start out by working on this here. I'll show you exactly how we're going to do it. I've measured about 5 centimeters there, plus a little bit extra for the cabling. So click there. I'll move you over here so you can see me tinning the backs. With this piece, we're going to start with a bend like that, because that'll allow us to stick to the back. Make sure that's nice and tight. Get a lot of wiggle there. That's fine. The last piece is to attach it to here. That is a nice connection. That's not going anywhere. Okay. I bent this down a little bit on the side so that when the case closes, it'll be fine. That way you don't have to remove this whole board and try and work on the etches or things like that. But that's going to give a nice connection. So let's flip it over. just to test. Remember, this thing is loose, so you got to be a little bit cautious. So we've got the cable here. There, plug it in. And we press the standby button. And no matter what I do to it, wiggling it around, it's fine. So it's got a little bit more flex to it. Now, lastly, as I said, these little pieces here are under the front. This is not necessary, but if you want to do a complete job so that it's not so mushy, you can get in here, try and loosen them. Now, something to consider is that these pieces have really sharp edges on them, so watch your fingers. I could try to fit a pair of pliers in there, or I could just suck and see, which is what I'm doing. Essentially what happens is the screw is long enough, or the bolt, that's a screw, is long enough to get through this from one side to the other and into the other side. And there's a little bit of a catch. So it just means by removing that, push it up a little bit closer. You don't want to over tighten these because remember, you've got a space that's between the top of the screw and the actual plastic you're screwing into. There's just a gap in there. Now, as I said, this is not strictly necessary, but I just want these things not to be so rattly when they're being used. So I'll do the other side. And there we have it. Plug in the power one more time just to double check that it lays nicely. Turn it on. And we have a working keyboard.